were plenty of threats. We had a meeting in our house when we were on strike. Then there was sometimes they used to threaten. Of course, they used to threaten you if you didn't come on time. Or
no, I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about, let's say, it was no good or it was strafe or whatever.
Well, if they used to complain to the person who was in charge.
Yes, I mean, they didn't pay you straight.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
they paid you for overtime, which was not officially allowed, because you used to start at 7.
Yeah.
So now, before Yom Tovim, it was no good for 7 o'clock. We used to start at 5 o'clock. We used to pay a lot of money for overtime.
To come earlier.
That's what the Vard of the Shachtim, they demanded from them. If you want us to come early, you've got to pay £3 an hour, which was a lot. And they agreed. They weren't worried. They were rich people.
Yeah.
So we used to get, if we were caught, we
yeah.
were in trouble.
Why?
Because there was an arrangement with the municipality not to start work before 7. It disturbed people.
Well, people used to live as in.
Of course, of course there were people. They
didn't complain.
Of course they complained. That's why they started at 7.
They used to come.
So they used to start early. Anyway, so.
Was it a tough place to work at the?
Yeah, well, you got used to it like everything else.
So you managed to make parnasa there from Shita? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then you used to...
Well, I mean, everything is relatively parnasa.
Yeah, but relatively. And then you were still in Walthamstow when you were working as Shita?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. So you used to go every Shabbos. There's a long walk there, I remember. Anyway, so when you came, so afterwards you got Nisayon in Shchita, but you didn't bother, you didn't think of going, further, to, I don't know, be in Hashgacha or things like that, which will be...
Hashgacha was no good.
It was a worse job than...
Oh yeah, Hashgacha is no good. No, you can't compare the two.
Well, it's a cleaner job, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's a cleaner job.
A cleaner job, that is a different matter, but the hours were different also. You had like here, when I was a shochet here, I mean, you start at 7 and finish at 10, you got the rest of the day. Or you have a second division, which I never liked because it was a bit awkward.
Second division even in England? In England?
Yeah, in England they had first division, and they had, twice you had to come back in the afternoon.
Oh.
After, and then,
so what did you do with
then straight away I used to went to teaching.
From there you
started
teaching?
It was a whole day, yes. It was tough.
That was tough?
Yeah, very, could go to sleep during the lesson.
Yeah. So what made you, let's go back to Israel now after this. So you had dreams of all the time going to live in Israel?
Oh, we had yearnings to go. Well, of course we had, we wanted to go, but there was never a right time, and even when we went, people, friends complained, how can you take children away? One was doing a matriculation and then a chemia was in this and that. So
what was the incentive, the 6-Day War?
No, we decided that we've got to go to Israel. If we don't go now, we won't go at all. That's how it worked out, because there was no end to it. Yeah. Because then you'd want to go.
Well, you felt you were pushing it off all the time.
Pushing it off, yeah. And it wasn't. Well, we were happy there. I mean, in where we were, we had central heating and everything like that. It was nice, the house, but it wasn't what we were.
Did you realise how tough it would be coming to Israel?
I used to tell you that all this thing dancing around a bonfire is not feasible. I said, we used to.
You realise it's not going to be.
Well, of course I do, and I told you. You'll be. You won't be having it easy. It'll be very, very difficult. Well, we told you.
No, but how did you know?
I knew because look, you don't need to be clever in order to know how people go into a new country and a new language and a new mentality and work and so on.
Because a lot of people don't realise.
I got to work. I used to go to the Sochnut.
Yeah.
If there's any work.
Yeah.
And they needed shachtim somewhere. So what happened? Now, I'll tell you how it transpired. It's very important that Manny, Zichron Livracha, was going for a convention of opticians.
Yeah.
So he said, David, why don't you come with me? You've always wanted to go to Israel.
Yeah.
So I said, I haven't got the money. I haven't been able to save everything which were. So Mum said, so what, Manny's got plenty of money, you go. She didn't realise what she was doing. So whilst I was there, I went round to the Mishchatot and I went to Tirat Tzvi and so on. I said, oh, we want shachting, we need shachting. Because I thought, what am I going to do in Israel? Shachting, there won't be shachting.
Hundreds of them.
And I realised that there's a possibility of making a living there. That's the Nakuda, I think I missed.
Well, the Sochnut didn't tell you?
No, just wait a minute. So, when I came back, now at that time there was a lot of bombing and so on, and from Jordan at the time to Tirat Tzvi, and anyway, but and I got to know that the wages were satisfactory. Shachtim. I told them that I'm a shochet, you know, and said, oh wow, yeah, we've been interested in shachtim here, particularly there in Tirat Tzvi at the time. So I went to a few places, and I realised that there was a possibility, an opening for me.
Yeah.
So I came back and I contacted the Sochnut. I said, well, we don't know, we haven't done. And then at that time there was the famous writer Moshe, what's his name now? I've forgotten his name now. Anyway, so I used to go down there and say, how is it? So I eventually contacted the Shaliach of Bnei Akiva, and he was from Kibbutz Saad.
Yeah.
And Kibbutz Saad was the name of the Mishpata in Sderot.
Yeah.
Because the main people were the Hashem Seir that were in charge of it. But they had Saad, because Saad was a religious kibbutz.
Yeah.
So he said, well, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there. So he, in the meantime, this, who was that famous?
Shamir.
Moshe Shamir. Now, he was very good to me.
He was the Shaliach.
He was the Shaliach at the time.
So,
and I told him the Hishtalshel in Yonim. I said, I don't know what's going on. I said, you don't need to want to help me to go on Aliyah. He said, well, let me have a look. He said, do you know, there's been from Saad for you. Is at the bottom of the what's the name. Nobody's bothered to contact me. That was the, I said, you seen what's happened? He said, I'm sorry, this is what's going on here. So he had to help me, and I got in contact with Saad, and then I was pushed.
Started moving.
Started moving, so Mum got to know.
Yeah.
If I would have known David, I wouldn't have told you to go to Israel.
Oh, Grandma you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about what Grandma said.
Grandma told you to go. I thought you was Mum. I thought you said Mum.
No, the Grandma.
Grandma said. Because she didn't know that you had intentions.
Mum was in a very awkward situation at that time, because Mum had an operation, a hysterectomy. Yeah. And it was not about 2 months before. And she said, go. And she had a terrible, you know, everything was, she was in a very bad way with when I was going. She said, I won't see you again, and you won't see me.
Well,
she was in such a terrible state.
Yeah.
After the operation, she was feeling, and all of a sudden, you know, slowly, it, you know, like after birth.
Yeah.
So I felt terrible. I was going.
Yeah.
And she was,
how long did you go for? 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
Yes, 3 weeks. I don't know. Yeah. So she went to the doctor.
Yeah.
She said, I'm having a nervous breakdown. I said, what do you expect? You've had a very serious operation. Yeah. I'm going to give you some tranquilizers and you'll be all right. Don't worry. And he spoke to her for a long time. She came back a different person. Yeah. She wrote me a letter to say that she's very sorry that you know what happened before I left, and she was in a very, very bad way. But Baruch Hashem, after that, then I got a letter whilst I was in Israel was from Machem, because he was attacked in the underground and he broke his nose. Dad, he said, find a job there, I want you to go to this. So all this...
push you.
Yeah.
So what, Mum felt bad, Grandma felt bad about it? Yeah. But then the Yachasim between Grandma and Mum were okay, yeah?
Oh, yes, it was only at the beginning. Mum didn't have she had only boys in the house. She didn't know how to deal with girls. And even Chava said at the beginning it wasn't very easy.
Yeah, she also has it hard.
Yes, but eventually, they realised Mum's got a very good side also, because she was Mum was a very tacky-fat sort of, a dominant type. She was very dominant.
You're talking about Grandma?
Grandma was very a dominant type, there was no doubt about it. And I remember Ruch, my cousins of Mum's cousin, when she came with Auntie Lily to visit us, she, even when she was young, she said, I was always frightened of your mother. Well, she was a very timid woman, a very lovely woman, but very timid, and she, Mum used to look at her, she used to tremble. But anyway.
Well, that's what caused the tackling between Mum and Grandma.
Possibly, both of them are sort of tacky-fim, you see. Mum and I had to pacify both of them, but it wasn't easy. But eventually Mum realised how wonderful Mum was, and Mum realised how to get on with Mum. And
how did they get
on?
They
were very friendly.
With the rest of the family, with Harold and Manny when you brought Mum home?
Yeah, with Manny particularly, she was very friendly with. Manny used to come down and used to speak to Mum a lot about, private things and so on. So, but Claire, I used to say, Manny is a deep one, he doesn't say anything. I said, well, with Rachel, she is very, very good. We're very, very close, Manny with Rachel, with Mummy.
Yeah. David, when you used to go to, when you're ready from, I forgot to ask you this question, already from, and so you had different standards of kashrus and things like that, and Shabbos. How did you get on at Indeed?
Well, it wasn't easy. The main problem, Manny, it was due to Manny. Because when I was married already with, so Mum sort of knew that I'm putting off coming to visit.
Because of those problems?
Yeah. So Manny came down and he said, I know it's not right. I said, but what am I going to do? I said, the standard of kashrus must be on there. So he went back. And why didn't he say? Yeah. So things improved. She, did the hakpad on certain things which I would have overlooked nowadays, but those days there was no pshara, so to speak. But she had for Pesach, for instance, all the separate dishes, new dishes. She also had separate dishes, but there was a problem. I've forgotten now what the problem was, but there was a problem.
How would you react nowadays? You'd go to. I mean, when you're older,
You went with me to Harold, remember?
Yeah.
We ate there.
Well,
certain things.
What did we eat there? I don't remember.
Certain things you got.
They bought ready-made.
Oh,
stuff.
yes. And she made salmon and so on.
Yeah.
And you think, well, this was not cold, this was not boiling water, that it doesn't boil air, what goes into your mind, halachically, to how to make kale on things so you shouldn't have problems. And that's how it is, but Mummy did a lot to come
Grandma changed
come towards me, she came towards me. It was very good. But those are the teething problems which could cause a rift.
Yeah. Because
that's why you're not mature enough to
understand the other side.
You've got to assert yourself, otherwise you can go back again. You see, that's the thing which you learn in life.
Yeah. So in the end, it was we still there because I remember they used to go frequently.
Yes, it was very good.
But afterwards, you didn't have any problems with grammar, you know, with Leeds and that was...
No, we were very, very good.
They're good terms.
Very good. The only,
So, in Israel, so what do you see as the... how long did it take till you, when we came to Israel?
6 months.
6 months it took you?
Because at the very beginning you were very unhappy. Chaim was unhappy to the extent that he went to hospital. They thought he had something wrong with his, and they couldn't find anything. And Rivka was unhappy. You were all very unhappy. Miri went to the school, and you were unhappy in the school. You couldn't get done. You're fighting the whole
So
time.
how did you manage it?
So what we did, after the first month, we also had a lot of problems in Merkaz Klita, because the people who were in charge there were not at all helpful. They had a certain attitude towards us. We come from England, and you know, we've got everything, and they were not very. The first reaction, I was accosted by the Menahel there of the Klita. He said, "Have you got any dollars?" That was the first thing. That was the attitude.
Yeah.
There weren't.
Yeah.
I went to your school and I was speaking to the Menahel.
In Malachi.
In Kiryat Malachi.
Yeah.
I said, "What have you come for?" A young Menahel. I said, "What do you mean I'm come for?" I said, "I've come because I'm a Zionist." I went in it. He said, "Well, you're in England." He said, "I'm waiting to go on Shlichut again." That was the attitude which we got.
Yeah.
The bank, I was telling you about in the bank. You go to a bank, everything was open.
Yeah.
You see, and you ask for what, everybody was telling you what to do. You know, it was a private conversation.
Yeah.
He said, "First of all, David, Mashlomcha David." I said, "What David?" This is Mr. Taylor. You know, he used to have ties, and he used to go into a bank. Nobody used to do that.
Yeah.
All these things were
Strange.
which I know it's going to be strange, but strange like this, I never expected. Anyway, so I went for a job. I had this job in Sderot, but I thought I'd go around. I wasn't sure that I'd be accepted. You know, I didn't have a beard or anything. So I went around to places, what I could do, and there was a fellow from Lomsha who was in charge of this sphere of getting jobs for people who come from Chutz La'aretz, who belong to the movement. Goelman, his name, and what's his name, knew him very well, Herschel. And he said, "Well, we're looking for somebody in, where was it, in the south, some shtot in the south, to take responsible for the Pole Mizrachi." Things like that, you know. Anyway, but I had this job here in Sderot.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd go around to see what there was, and no one was very helpful. So I went there. I had to go and see Rav Rosenthal. Yeah. I didn't have a beard at the time, and he said, "Yes, all right." I showed him, because before I went to Rav Dayan Grosdas to have a letter from him to say that I've been a shocher, you know, with a hasmacha and a reference.
Yeah.
So I showed him it. He said, "Oh, very good." He said, "Go and see. You'll see Rav Vina. He's in what's the name." So I went to say Rav Vina. So he said to me, "Now you should have a bit of a beard, a tzar Yehudi." I said, "All right." I said, "Okay." I said, he was very nice to me at Rosh Shmuel, wonderful. And I got the job there in the end. We were supposed to. Anyway, we discussed that before, I think.
No, but what I wanted that, how did you, with all of us so unhappy,
how did I solve it? I solved it, we all came together on the Shabbos a month afterwards. A month after we came.
Yeah.
Everyone was telling how unhappy they were.
Yeah.
I said, "Look, I'm unhappy, Mummy is unhappy. Let's give it, you can't rush things. Let's give ourselves 6 months. 6 months. If after 6 months we're all in the same state, we'll have to reconvene and think what to do for the future.
Everybody got
It was
used
a
to
matter
it.
of time. That was a good thing to do, because a lot of people gave up after a month or 2 months and came back to England and couldn't take it. But it was too early, you see. You had to get used to
Speak the language.
the language. Well, we all had an idea of the language. I had no problems with the language. Speaking maybe, but I got on with everybody with language. So, because I remember when I was in the Merkas Lita, said, well, we're not having any tablet. There was a girl inside of tablet. So we'll get a newspaper then. So I read the newspaper to her. He said, what do you want? What do you want? So he said, it's a matter of the new words. It's only get, because then I went into the army and so on. They were in the army before I was interviewed by the girl there. I told them we won't go into the army. I went into Haga at that time. So it was a translation of the words. So it was mitvach. I didn't know what mitvach was. So she said, mitvach is when you shoot. I said, keshet. So she didn't know what I was talking about. But I didn't. So after before the 6 months, Chem got to know Rav Shvima, and I think you went to Benny Eisen, and Miri came here and she got into with the Chevra here in Ashkelon.
Well, that was only a year later.
I know that, but you suffered during that period. I know that, but there was nothing of Yi'ush anymore. You were unhappy, but no Yi'ush.
Well, then you sensed Yi'ush in the beginning.
Of course, Rivki suffered a lot on the quiet. She never made any friends really, but she didn't. She was just sort of sick the whole time, problems with her stomach.
So, Lemaise, you realise you had made a good decision of coming after already then, not talking about then. How long did it take you to realise that, you've done it, it was a good decision?
Well, I suppose the realisation of the good decision when everyone got married here and had children and remained here.
Well, it's a long time then.
I know, it takes time. We didn't know how things would develop 100%, but I was happy that I came, and the Mammy was very happy, because I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, in the first serial, that Mammy said in the board of Shchita they gave me 6 months to come back, and I'd have my job back waiting for me. And Mum said, on no condition. When I came back, I said, I've got good news. Said the secretary said I can go for 6 months and I can get my job back. I said, you're not getting your job back. We're burning our bridges. Whatever happens, we're staying. Because a lot of them did make these arrangements, and the same chance you had,
you've got a place where to go back.
A lot of the Americans did that. You see.
Especially if you keep a house there.
You see, so in that respect, it was a good idea. Like all the refugees that came from they never thought of, couldn't make conditions. Those that make conditions.
Tov, Mercedes, so give us a bracha at least.
A tremendous bracha. I mean, Baruch Hashem, we've been into the army and so on. Of course, we've been lucky, thank God, Halavai Vaita, that God could look after us and so on, but everything has worked out. I mean, Tani was in the army and he was nearly killed by a terrorist, and thank God, everything worked out. I can't complain.
Okay, good.